appoint a subcommittee. So
It's on there.
It's on there. What this one is for is amendment to the agenda was to appoint a clerk for all of the time
appoint a
meeting.
clerk,
Yeah.
and we've got the,
Where do you want to add that, Pete? Do you want to do it under new business when we do the moving forward plan?
I think I'd like to do that right now, just because we could be taking it.
Okay.
If she's appointed clerk.
Yes.
Okay.
Somebody like to make a motion?
I would like to make a motion, since I've been involved in this, to appoint Jade as our part-time acting clerk for the town of Metaline.
Second. Is there any discussion? Is there a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now you're able to do minutes.
Okay, I might need some help here. We have the minutes from our May meeting, and then we have minutes from, we held an executive session on June 10th. It was adjourned, and we opened the general meeting at 5 o'clock. A motion was made by Tim Terrell to place our town.
It's okay.
I'd like to make a motion.
That's not a sound I've heard before. Place the town clerk on administrative leave pending an investigation. Alicia Seeley seconded that motion, and the vote was all in favor. A second motion was made to inform the sheriff and report the suspected fraud, and Rick Ryder seconded it, and the vote was all in favor. I need a motion to accept the minutes from
Our meeting, our special meeting.
our special, well, there was a,
Emergency.
oh, yeah.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from our June 5th executive session amendment.
Wait, here a second.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
What about minutes from May?
We need to accept those still because we didn't carry out our
Need a
meeting.
motion to accept the minutes from our last, before last council.
May
council meeting,
13th.
May 13th council meeting.
I wasn't here.
I wasn't here.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from the May 13th council meeting.
They're pretty big.
Need a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Brian?
Commissioner report, I suppose. Well, I just let everybody know that the 24th, we're gonna hold our county commissioner meeting here. Looking forward to that. While we're here, we will have a public hearing on the EMS district discussion. Lots of discussion on that. I think we're bringing to light a lot of differences between the south end of the county and the north end of the county. I spent some time today trying to explain the north end of the county to the other commissioners, and they look confused. But I do that quite a bit to them. So they're definitely different kind of operational mode between the two sides of that discussion. With Fire 2 and Spofer being on different sides of that view of whether we need an EMS district. We're going to keep having that discussion. My perspective is we need to put it out there. The county needs to resolve whether that's a good idea or not. I'm largely going to be looking to the people to decide that. My view is I think it's a good thing, but I'm willing to be convinced otherwise. So the other big issue, and I'm hoping to have some input from people when we're up here, is Pond Creek County roads. And if everybody has seen the little yellow signs out on the roads, and maybe you've all gotten letters from Mr. Jackson, who has worked with me to put that campaign out. I would appreciate it if you haven't spent the time to to give your thoughts on that, to do that. Even if half of these people in this room did that, that would really help us. Especially those with businesses and commercial users, I'm pointing at somebody, that would be really helpful. I'm trying to communicate, and this is something that's really important to me, the issues that are coming to fruition in Pomeroy County roads with a collision between our revenue trends and our expense trends. There's a cliff coming with those two trends, and it's been coming a long time, and something has to be done, and the people need to be involved in that decision. So that's what that effort's about, and I would appreciate as much participation from people as possible on that. We're gonna come to a point where we're gonna ask the public, what would you like us to do? These are our recommended options, and that's rapidly coming. And I'm willing to abide what people's views are on that. You know, I have opinions, of course, we all do, but that's the other big issue. If you have questions about that and you have time when we're up here, come on down, talk to us about it. Yeah.
EMS,
Yes, sir.
that they're gonna have at your commissioner meeting.
Yes, we're
Does
gonna
it
have
have a separate, does it have a time for that?
Yeah, it's posted on the door out here. The public hearing is gonna be at 1:30 on Tuesday, the 24th, 1:30 p.m.
So the time's not on here is all, please.
Okay.
And it is posted out on the door. I think it's been put in the Selkirk Sun. We advertised, it actually says it was published in the Newport Miner here right in front of me. So,
You're holding those meetings all up and down.
we're holding one here, and we're holding one in the south end of the county. I'm not sure, I don't think we're holding one mid-county. And it'll be interesting to see the different perspectives. I feel like for up here, it's kind of a yawn. There's a lot of support for EMS. And I would be convinced otherwise. That'd be great if people think it's a bad idea, countywide EMS. It could involve, but doesn't necessarily involve a tax levy. You know, it's a creation of another junior district, and the creation of junior districts is in the hands of the commissioners. Once we would create it, you know, we would appoint the initial board, and then we're hands off pretty much, contrary to some of the things that are being said. Once that initial board, we created most of the junior districts, the commissioners have. They created the port, they created all, and you know, we don't run those either. So, yeah, that's our role in it, is creating those districts. That's all I had, unless there's any questions.
Questions for Brian? Sheriff?
Mayor, for the town, or for the month of May, the town of Metaline had 7 calls for service. 3 of them were us just delivering papers to the courts. One was a traffic violation I could use a little help on. It was juveniles riding quads through the area.
Ooh.
The deputy came, checked the area, and didn't find anything, couldn't find. So if you know who's the juveniles that are riding the quads, we'd like to
What
call
area?
it. I don't recall which area, it was just in Metaline, so. My guess is it was probably some out-of-towners or something that, you know, just didn't know what was up, so. We did 2 traffic stops. One was a verbal warning for a stop sign violation. The other was a citation for not wearing a seatbelt and having no insurance. There was 1 welfare check on an elderly lady who was not answering family members. We checked on her, everything was fine. She made contact with her family. So those were your calls for service. I have 2 other things if there's no questions. Okay. Did anybody see WSP up here on Thursday morning? I've been working with them trying to get a little bit more speed emphasis in the town of Ione and Metaline. I talked to the trooper and he assured me that on Thursday morning, he was gonna be up here by 6 o'clock and he was gonna run some traffic control. I have not had a chance to talk to him since then. I was just hoping that maybe somebody saw blinking lights out there.
He was in Ione,
Was he in Ione? Okay,
on the
perfect,
highway.
perfect. So just so you guys know, the intent was Ione has been pretty upset with some commercial vehicle traffic coming through. And so his stated purpose was, I'm gonna come up here, if I see that the commercial vehicles need attention, he already had the approval from his sergeant to bring a squad
Oh, wow.
of weights and measures folks up here, and they were gonna make an impression. So I don't know if he found enough to get that in the works, but that's what their plan was. So I was just hoping, my first issue was, did he actually make it up here? Did anybody actually see him? So I'll communicate with him hopefully later this week and find out where they're going with that. But the other thing I had was speed on North LeClaire. I've been up and down it a couple of times. I actually made a traffic stop on Saturday on my way up here. I was not dressed for the occasion, but somebody tried passing me when I was doing 52 miles an hour in a 50, and he blew past me, and I couldn't ignore it, so we had a chat. But the deputies have definitely been picking up their enforcement there. Probably about a 50-50 split between speeding and seatbelt and registration violations. So not everybody out there is speeding. I believe because the road is windy and narrow, that speeds are a perception thing. So people are like, they're doing 80 on that road. I doubt they're that fast, but the fastest we have caught somebody is 56 miles an hour. I saw the tribe got somebody at 60, but that's the fastest we've been able to clock anybody at this point. But we are doing emphasis. So I'm just hoping that people will pay a little more attention. I set my cruise control at 50 when I come up and down from here, and just, leave it at that. There's a couple of corners you got to slow down for, but just follow the speed limit. It's the safest and best way. So, but we are doing emphasis patrols there as well. So those are the only things I have.
Okay. We don't have anybody from Fire District 2, but they've been very busy boys and girls. Wow.
Thank you, Glenn.
John,
Yeah. Mayor and council, thank you for your service. You're by and large underappreciated, so thank you. So I teach at the high school. Well, I'm semi-retired. I'm still kind of teaching at the high school. And the lab was established. We do the wastewater testing for you folks. So the lab was established 30 years ago. So I thought it might be a good idea just to stop by and have a little bit of chat. And sometimes it's good to understand where we came from. So prior to 1995, Seattle City Light, Ion, Metaline Falls, and Selkirk all had wastewater treatment plants were discharging. Now City Light had lots of problems with theirs, and pretty much said, we want to get out from underneath our permits, so they put in a forced drain field. So good for them, but we lost the customer. But the good thing was prior to 95, because they were discharging, the nearest lab was Newport, so they graciously transported everybody's samples to Newport. And at that time, the city of Newport's wastewater treatment plant operators apparently had enough time that they ran outside people's samples. They quit doing that probably about 98. So in 95, in a fit of sheer insanity, I got a $30,000 grant. I purchased the equipment, I got the lab accredited and set everything up, and I took over operation of the wastewater plant at the high school because the maintenance people were doing it. And I set up a class, and so everything went from there. A brief comment about your wastewater treatment plant. In the year 2000, your operator was a fellow named Chuck Clausen, and he left for another job. And at that time, in another fit of insanity, we contracted and ran your plant for about 2 years, I think it was. And it was yes.
what year was that?
It would have been around 2000, I think. I'm not completely sure, but we did that, and it was me and students, and I know I had one student that ran the plant for the summer named John Eckhart, and he was just excellent. He's actually the #2 man at the City of Spokane wastewater treatment plant right now. But it just got to be, it was just too friggin' much. And I remember one time, it's like Christmas Eve, and I went over to check on stuff, and there's a door that goes out from the inside to the catwalk, and there's a copper pipe that runs along there, and it had froze. So I came in, there was water squirting out of that hole, filled all the cupboards and drawers full of water, and I go, why the hell am I doing this? So, but it was good for a while, but then we just said, no. So, but the point I wanted to make, I'm familiar with your plant, and I'm familiar with several other plants, and that is one of the best designs I've ever seen. The engineers that put that thing in really knew what they were doing, so you should be pleased with that and how it operates. And we see your numbers, and 6 years ago, 7 years ago, when I semi-retired, I handed the lab operation over to my successor, Rachel Wold, and I don't look at the numbers very often, but I remember looking at the numbers and going like, holy cow, they're just getting really good numbers. So that's pretty cool. And we had a new plant. Our plant was a package plant that was put in when the high school was established, and it had some issues, and the Department of Ecology says put in a new plant, and you know, I'm looking at this design, and the engineer that did that had done some other work for us in Metaline, City of Metaline Falls, and it was really good, and I'm going, well, it looks good to me, and the ecology signed off on it, and it was a total nightmare. It was a disaster. And there's more fixed there than there is original plan. But the fellow that stepped in to help us is a guy named Andy Tom from Sewell out of Spokane, not Newport. They're different, but this guy Sewell, Andy Tom out of Sewell, if you ever have any wastewater stuff, I highly recommend this guy. This guy goes, you hear it on the side, I hear you got problems, how can I help you on the cheap, and it was a good deal. So when I set this up, my puzzle was how much do I bill people? Because I have semi-slave labor, kind of, you know. And so I looked at what the commercial outfits would charge, and I decided, well, I'll charge less than that. And Metaline was unique in that you have a mechanical plant, and I own, and Metaline Falls have lagoon systems, and so their permits are different. They're not as strict as to how often they have to test. So you were having to do major tests once a week. And so I thought, I know what it's like being in small towns, so I thought, to tell you what. So what I did was the first 3 weeks, you got charged 65% of whatever I was charging everybody else. And then from then on, it was the regular deal. And we still were, what I always looked at was some of the lab equipment. I mean, I can have an incubator go out or an autoclave, and it's like $5,000. So I wanted to build a cushion, and other than that, I didn't really care, and we were doing fine. So everybody else was pretty much the same. And if you're kind of curious, you might be interested in this. Is you had a lagoon system here. And about the same time that ecology they spent a lot of time getting the big boys straightened out, and so now they started going to the little fish, and so they're looking at Metaline and Metaline Falls, and you know, this lagoon system, and you guys ended up with the mechanical plant. The reason why Metaline Falls was able to keep their lagoon system is that was built when the cement plant was running, and believe it or not, there was 500,000 gallons of cooling water coming from that cement plant. 500,000 gallons coming from there, and I bet without that the flows in Metaline Falls are maybe 40,000 gallons. So it was over capacity. So about the time they were on Metaline Falls' case, you know, we think you need to put a mechanical plant in. We had a good engineer who was able to convince them there's plenty capacity here. So we got out of having a mechanical plant. We just lucked out. And Ione is somehow, they apparently theirs was big enough, but I do know Metaline's was barely big enough at the time, so you kind of got shafted on that. You know, so, you know, like every cost went up, and I think it might be like, I think you're still getting a break, but it might just be 85%. But I'm not in that part anymore, but I should just go and look and see where we at. You know, if it's getting like, well, we've built up too much surplus, then what we do is we reduce costs. It's not about making a lot of money, although there was some workshops in Hawaii I wanted to go to, but they never let me. So the lab stuff, it's interesting. We have to get accredited, and those people have gotten pickier. I like the old people a lot better. They were like, I mean, one time I made this major change in the wastewater plant, And I didn't ask anybody, and the guy came up and he goes, what did you do that? I did it because of this and this, it's working better. Okay, now they have my hide. So they've gotten pickier and pickier. And like one example, the lab, we have to run performance evaluation samples. So these go, we contact an agency that does that, and these go out to maybe 60 labs. Everybody runs the same thing. You report your answers, and you better be within certain, you know, plus or minus whatever, or you fail. We've never failed. In fact, if you look at where the average is, we're always, you know, it's like you could be plus or minus 20, we're plus or minus 3 or 4. So, you know, which is pretty amazing. And sometimes the accreditation, I'm on a roll here, but sometimes the accreditation people, they don't realize that this is not a commercial operation. These are high school students. And you don't get to pick who you hire, and you get new people every semester. You got new trainees, and so sometimes it can be, I mean, I had kids, I said, you're fired! I said, you're not fired, but you would have been, so you better learn from that. Anyway, so it can be difficult at times because sometimes they don't understand the nuances of it being the way it is. But, I mean, just one example, you think temperatures were temperatures. So we got an incubator, it's supposed to be 35 degrees plus or minus 1 degree. Well, there's a little digital readout on there. That doesn't mean squat. You get a certified thermometer that you put inside of that. Certified. Well, that doesn't mean squat either, because you got another, what we call the God thermometer, like $220 thermometer, and once a month you got to look at the certified thermometer, compare it to the God thermometer, and if it's off by 1/10 of a degree, you got to put a little correction factor on the incubator, so that when a kid reads the temperatures, you have the correction factor. Now, every 3 years, the God thermometer's got to get sent to the God thermometer at the United States Bureau of Standards in Washington, D.C., and they got to make sure the God thermometer's okay. That's just for temperatures. Now, so it can be aggravating, but the good thing is students need to learn this stuff, because that's what it's going to be like. So the last time we went through an accreditation cycle, they just went bonkers about some stuff, especially about drinking water. And they'd say you got to do and I can tell you right now, I can teach you how to do the test in 5 minutes. It's pretty dang foolproof, but it's like, well, yeah, but what if this happened? Or you've got to, you have to do this other thing, this other alternative test to make sure that the test, and so they kept throwing, you got to do that, and I kept trying to find workarounds, and I finally just said, this is just not, I give up. Which hurt, because Selker has to run drinking water, you got to run drinking water, I own, you know, people that were running drinking water, boom, now you got to transport it to Spokane. And what's worked out for us is IOM has a really sophisticated water treatment thing, and they have a special sample they have to send in once a month, and when they drop their lab samples off, he transports our water sample in, so we don't have to have somebody drive it in, and then we give them a break on their testing fees. Yeah.
We gotta get caught up here on there.
I'm gonna be done.
All right.
I talked too much. So that's enough. I think that was too much. So guess what? I think that's, the rest of this is just baloney, just me talking. So I'll tell you what, I always looked on this not as you're my clients, but it's a partnership. So thank you for being good partners.
Thank you for all
Thank
your
you for bringing talking.
Whatever we can do.
Very interesting.
Thank you. Now, moving on to the maintenance report.
Maintenance is good, no big things with maintenance right now. I do have a copy of all the latest water test results if anybody wants to look at them. The PFAS one, there's no PFAS here, so we won't have to test for that again. PFAS is in firefighter foam that they drop out of planes, and apparently in some places it's hitting ground drinking water, so, but not here. So but I have those here if people want to see.
And that's what these statements are up here, JD?
Those are
to look at?
those are coming up later.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm gonna need him to bill me out on those. I move on to old business, pickleball update.
Well, we got, with a crew of, volunteers last week, we put 125 gallons of sealant, 2 coats on the court out there, so basically the court's ready to paint now. And planning to go in this week and get the paint, but I've been, just waiting for some other things to settle out, so. I washed them today, cleaned them today, and JP and I are gonna mark some things out on it tomorrow, so we'll know where to paint. Anyway, we're on track to be done by the end of the month, weather permitting.
Okay, next thing is update on the small water systems maintenance plan.
So yeah, small water system management plan.
Management.
It's a plan that the town already has, but it hasn't been updated in, I don't know how long it's been since it's been updated. So we're just updating it with disinfection monitoring plans, how we disinfect the water, how we test for fecal coliforms every month, cross-connection plans. Anyway, we put all of this into the small systems plan. Everything's in there on how we deal with leaks, how we look for them, how we fix them when we find them. Everything goes in there. A copy of our permit for our water. So anybody that comes along could pick up that plan and know how the water system here works, know how all of it runs and who to contact from the Department of Health, Ecology. All that's in this plan that we are currently updating.
Yeah, who's the one people doing that?
It's RCAC.
RCAC. I got a call from them. I'm gonna be talking with them next week. She's on vacation now. I guess they're gonna do some updates. All right, they've got the plan all written and it's ready to be.
It's close, yeah. I have a call with them at 10 o'clock on Friday morning myself. So,
You do?
yeah.
I'll get with you in the morning.
Okay.
I have a question, JP.
Yeah.
On that update management plan, is that posted just here in the office? Or
It'll
is
be
there
here.
something at the,
It'll be here and at Department of Health.
Okay.
Department of Health will have it and we'll have it.
okay,
Yeah. And I'm not sure if the county will have it. I'm not sure if they
I
have
think
the
that just
copies
goes
out
to
or not,
Department
or
of
if they
Health.
just ask somebody for it if they needed it, if they ever needed it. I don't know.
okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Chipping day, we were gonna have a chipper come out here, but that's been canceled.
Due to health issues is what I was
Oh,
told.
really?
Yeah,
Okay. I didn't know what the reason was, but
yeah.
it's kind of a mess down there. But, and there's a policies and procedures workshop. I'm not sure what we're,
I'm not privy to that. I missed the last meeting. Was that discussed on the last meeting? The policies and procedures? Oh, you weren't on there.
It was tabled, and
Table it, yeah.
We'll just have to
I
table
think
it.
that it was in reference to the changing of the meeting time. Yeah.
Okay, that's,
Oh.
we're just gonna have to table that.
okay, yeah, okay, I remember that. And we gotta be very careful when we do that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Certainly we do.
New business. We need to appoint a subcommittee to work with,
Moving forward with any town business. we're gonna have a-
yeah. And they will be, well, we're restricted about how many council members can be in the same place, so we need to select 2 people to help resolve
So we don't get in trouble.
Yeah, as long as you have that subcommittee, then you're okay.
We're okay, per the,
Yeah.
I would, somebody to make a motion to appoint Jade and Janet as the subcommittee.
the subcommittee that we'd have to appoint is called an ad hoc, it's ADHOC, and it's just, temporary,
Yeah.
so,
And it's only a temporary,
yep.
okay.
So what is the subcommittee's task?
Is to work with the other agencies to resolve our
Investigation.
Yes.
Okay,
investigation, the ongoing investigation.
okay.
I do have a printout, I just don't have it here. And it has an RCW with it, and it's from
It's in the office.
MRSC.
Okay, so that's to assist with other entities in the investigation, and then is it also to like, try to pick up the pieces and figure out where we're at?
Pretty much to work with
We
the
will
other
do what we
entities.
can.
We have to
Okay.
answer any questions coming in from outside
Okay.
agencies at this point, and
For
that's
sure.
what our job is to do.
Yes.
All right.
Find that information.
Yep.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Jade MacArthur and Janet Sullivan to a subcommittee, an ad hoc subcommittee,
There you go.
to assist with the investigation of the situation.
And I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is passed. And John, or JP, has already mentioned our cross-connecting policy and ordinance number 257.
That goes with that plan that JP was talking about, because this is for protection of the potable water system of the town of Metaline from actual or potential sanitary hazards. So it sounds like we must need that in our plan.
So it's part of that management plan that they're requiring.
So we need a motion to accept this ordinance, and it's establishing regulations for the protection of potable water systems in the town of Metaline from actual or potential sanitary hazards and unprotected cross connections. We don't have any.
We don't anymore.
What would be like an example of something?
So an example is, somebody goes to the water plant, grabs the hose that is on, after the water's treatment side, takes that hose and say they stuck it in the honey bucket cleaning pump, right? Stuck up, that's cross contamination. You can't take that hose after treatment and put it in that truck. Can't do it. That's an example of
Okay.
cross connection. Yeah.
So are you gonna pull the hose so they can't do that anymore?
So they can do it before treatment, they can't do it after treatment.
It's after.
After treatment, out of the tank. Here, from
Up at our water treatment.
up at the water treatment plant, yeah, they can't do it,
They can
From
connect
inside.
some way.
they can do it out, if it's outside, I think there's a hose outside. It's a big standpipe,
The big hose, the big.
yeah, that big standpipe is before treatment.
Yeah, that's the
They
water.
can take water out of that standpipe,
4 feet.
for a fee, yeah, of course, for a fee, yes.
Thank you.
We've done that several times for
I forget his name.
uh,
Sean?
Sean Bentley?
Is he on it?
Yeah, no, they're working on the roads, or they've got another big construction project. We have sold water to them, but that's water that's just, gives them easy access. It's untreated water.
For like an example, when Tech was drilling up here, that's the water they were using too also, that we sold to them for that drilling.
I think it drills fast too, I think it's really
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah, it's a big hose around it, out of the standpipe outside.
Did I make a motion on this? I made a motion on this.
We need a motion.
We need a motion.
Okay, somebody
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance number 257.
I'll second the motion to adopt ordinance number 257.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And this, am I right, that the coliform monitoring plan and then DBP,
All of
and all that
that
stuff is all part
That's
of it?
all in the small,
Yeah.
small water system plan. All those things go into it, yeah.
Okay.
All this is one with that ordinance.
Our hazard mitigation resolution. think what,
Is that printed out?
I think I had it on my, that hazard mitigation.
2025, so it's this one. You can use mine. I'll dig through your papers for you.
This is a hazard mitigation plan. Is what we're doing is agreeing to follow the county and the other towns in Pomeroy County and use the same hazard mitigation plan.
And for those that don't know, hazard mitigation, what that plan entails for each town, like the water,
Oh, it's pretty,
everything.
yeah,
Okay.
it's all.
What would we do? That's our plan. What would we do if something happened with our water or
We're gonna do
sewer
the same thing every other
infrastructure?
town in the county.
Infrastructure, okay.
This is resolution number 2025-2, authorizing the adoption of the Pomeroy County Multi-Jurisdictional Hazard Mitigation Plan.
Okay.
Need a motion to accept this?
I'll make a motion to accept the hazard mitigation resolution 2025-02.
A second?
Second.
Rick
Okay,
seconded.
all in favor? I'm sorry. I didn't hear.
Aye.
And we already did the county commissioner.
Public hearing.
Okay, and then this is also reiterating that we're going to have a public hearing about the EMS district on 10/24/25 at
1:30.
1:30.
And that's on the door here.
Next one's a toughie. Treasurer's report.
There's not much information that we can release at this time for the treasurer's report for May. I don't know what next month will look like either. But just know we're sifting through. It's not being ignored.
Need a motion to accept.
Well,
Oh,
Yeah.
I guess we need a motion to accept that treasurer's report. We have to be voting up the treasurer.
I will make a motion to accept the treasure report as is pending at this time.
Such as it is.
give me a second. I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now, council reports. Janet?
I'm gonna speak on the park. We've got the water running down there and it's gonna take all of us helping JP. He's our single employee here for time being. Just changing water, moving water if you feel the need or if you have an extra minute or whatever. We're not asking anyone else to have to do
I'm
it.
just gonna, I'll just take care of that.
Are you? I don't have a problem going down either.
I'll take care of it.
Okay, thank you, Mike. So that's the park. We want to get it pretty and green for 4th of July, so there's no issues there.
I'll watch it for you.
Jade?
If you're in the park, there is a lot of color in certain places. There was a color run and all the kids enjoyed it.
It's on the back side.
It's on the back side where it's like the big pile, but it was awesome and they had fun.
Tim?
Pickleball court's looking good. Thanks to everyone who came out and helped seal that. That's all I got.
Rick?
Well, Janet took all my thunder, we're watering the park, which is good. When she went down, I got the hose out, put her up, so I shouldn't say she took my thunder, but everything else looked good, the cemetery looks nice. Park's looking really good, like I said, we need to get it greened up a little bit, but other than that, been a few new, well, I don't know what I should say, I might get hung. Concerning the sign, there's a snowball plant there, and a young lady has taken it upon herself to fix that snowball plant, so
It needed to be pruned in her defense, and it will come back
Oh,
beautiful.
I'm all in favor of it, I
Okay.
just want,
Okay,
if somebody
I
goes
didn't know
down
which
there and
way you
sees
were
her pulling
going.
it out, then it's okay.
She consulted with the family that
Yes,
donated
yeah.
That
the fence,
donated
and they said that we could take them out if we wanted to, we're just trying to revive them.
Yeah, sounds like she's got a pretty good plan in place. I think they're originally a commemoration of
Yes,
someone or, yeah.
yes.
Other than that, she's looking good. Okay. Public comments.
I have a comment.
Absolutely, go ahead.
It's regarding fire hydrants.
Okay.
This is my third year concern. My first one, I came to a city council person. He didn't know the answer. He came to council, or not council, he came to the office here and was told, don't worry about it. The town's insurance knows that some of our fire hydrants do not work.
Can I interrupt right there?
Yes.
I've been told by our fire, District 2, all of them work. Our concern is, there may be one or two we can't get shut off with some exuberant manpower.
There may be, Janet.
But I was told they do work.
It has, when was the last time they were tested?
2 years ago that I know for a fact, the one by me, but other than that, I haven't seen it, Pat, to be honest.
Okay, I guess I don't have a problem.
Well, no, if you have the problem and do have the question, we'll address it.
Fire hydrants, and we've been trying, we were trying to get a deal with Newport, because they had they replaced all of theirs, and some of them were relatively new. But we don't have the equipment here to replace a fire hydrant. We have to get that.
Contract that.
Well, actually, the last time we replaced a fire hydrant, it was two guys from Newport came up and did it for us, because they've got all of the tools and everything to do that, and the big, nice backhoe that actually works well.
I'm gonna interrupt you. Fire hydrants, if I were to contact Chris at the fire department too,
I have.
and you have, and what, did he give you any answers?
Last year, he told me that he would crank one open and
And that's what they did,
he has a, no, he didn't.
at my house, not last year.
No,
2
he
years
was,
ago, yeah.
it was a different fire hydrant. He said he would crank it open, and if he couldn't shut it off, he had a boot that he could put in it.
And I have been told by Blake they can do that, so that's not a concern, so it won't drain our water tower. But they can do that, but that is the fear, that some of our hydrants won't shut off and they'll have to use
Blake
that.
told us that every truck has one of those on it. It's just an adapter that they put on the end, and then the hose goes on, so they can shut it off.
But if you would like me to follow up on this with Chris and Blake and get
Well,
some actual
I
answers?
was actually told that the town's insurance is aware of it. My concern is
That I
the
don't know.
safety of the town,
Right,
that if we should have a disaster and they happen, there, two in the county this past weekend, that, where do we stand?
exactly.
So-
Insurance wise.
Real quick, Blake and I did open 4 of the hydrants last week. We flushed 4
Oh,
hydrants
those ones
last
over
week,
there.
and we're gonna do more. But we were able to we got the 2 here, one right down there at the end of the road, and one by the cemetery. And all 4 of them work fine, and we are gonna continue this week to do more.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you, that
Thank you,
was my
JP.
answer.
Perfect,
Yeah.
taken care of.
Feel a lot better.
So you'll have a full report on
Yeah,
all the
because
hydrants in the
I didn't
town?
like that when I heard that some
The
of them,
boot.
some of them might not close.
Yeah,
And I
So
think
plus-
Dwayne said maybe 1 or 2 don't even work at all, and I was like,
well, we can't let that tank get below 18
doesn't feel
feet.
good. So,
For our
like I said, we've done 4 so far, and we'll keep going.
How many do
Okay.
we have?
That's,
Oh, Lord.
I don't know exactly how many, there's
Around
gotta be
20.
about, I would say 20 to 25 is my,
Yeah.
Around 20. I
yeah.
know the person that would be a good one to talk to is my neighbor.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never actually walked around the
Okay.
county.
He knows all about it.
All right.
It's gonna be on one of our maps, and it's gonna
Thank
show.
you, that's all I had.
Yeah, it's here somewhere.
Mine looks a little outdated on our property.
Okay. I need a motion to adjourn.
Public comment. Is that it,
Oh,
for
I'm
public
sorry, is there
comment?
any more public
We
comment?
have
One
more.
more question.
Yes.
My husband's been working for several months to try and get the maps to connect the water to the main line for the shop. He was told he could come this week and get those. We're just wanting to know who he's talked to now about.
You want a map of the water lines?
He wants to connect. He's been working on. He may have even come to talk to you.
I found some emails and I will give them to you.
Yeah, give them to me.
Is your husband's name John?
No, it's Jeremy.
Jeremy. It was
Yeah.
a J. Okay, I found emails from him and I'll
Okay.
forward them to JP.
Yeah, forward them to me.
Okay.
He
And
wants
he
to-
may have talked to you before. He just wanted to know who.
I
who
haven't
he was
talked
supposed
to him.
He's
talk
trying to
now.
get on one meter for
Yes.
both places.
Yes,
Yeah, I
he's been
talked to a
trying
guy
to.
that works for Dax.
Yes.
So
Well,
talk
no,
to-
that's the people we're trying to use.
Oh, I did talk to that, I did talk to him, and I
Okay.
gave him a map of the water lines. I gave him the map of,
Okay.
a copy of where the water lines were. I don't remember his name,
Oh, okay.
but we talked about it and I handed him a map. But I'll give your husband whatever he wants.
Well, we're just trying to make sure we were told we had to wait. So we were just trying to figure out the best
Okay.
way to go about
Yeah.
doing it.
I remember
So-
that.
We're saying, bring all your questions to us, please.
Okay, so who should he contact you?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
And JP, your hours are, you'll be here
We're here like
available days.
5 in the morning usually till about 3 in the afternoon.
Okay, so. Any other comments?
Any other comment?
Have the office open for normal hours?
Bill, we're gonna try,
We are.
um,
We have a lot of meetings and stuff. A lot of sit downs coming up.
and records requests and things like that, how we go forward with that. We're just kind of treading water right now, but we're definitely gonna try so that everyone can bring their questions and concerns in. And there'll be someone here at most all times.
The
for
phone
that.
works.
Phone works, please leave a
Really, if
message.
there's nobody here, just leave a message on the phone.
And JP is usually here,
And
or he's out in the field.
I'm in and out of here between the parks and the water and sewer.
All else fails, please put a note on the door. So, and we'll get to that as soon as we can. We're just doing the best we can.
Understood, email.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can always email.
yeah.
I try to check them daily.
Okay, are we done? Need a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Motion is passed.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you, everybody. This is more people.
Thank you, Pat.
Thank you.